There are 3 times in your life where you should pull an all-nighter: as a student, as a parent, and as a hackathon competitor. But at least with hackathons, you can win money and prizes. I won $1,000 for winning first place at one competition. I won this Raspberry Pi for winning first place at another back-to-back competition. And here's how I did it. The way a hackathon works is that you team up with 3 to 4 people, and the organizers give you some kind of theme or track to build your idea off of, and you should solve a problem related to that idea. And the winners usually get prizes, and usually it lasts 24 hours, usually Saturday you build the idea, Sunday you pitch it. And you also get a free t-shirt like this, and a bunch of these stickers. But how do you even build a team, right? Building a team, I feel like, is probably the easiest part of the hackathon. Just team up with your friends from school and pick friends that are just as interested in the competition as you are, especially friends who have different specialities to you. So my team, I teamed up with the same people for these 2 competitions that I won in. And we had, make sure to had one guy do back end. So the latest competition, we had 3 teammates max per team. We had one guy do back end. I did machine learning and kind of object detection and computer vision and all that. I had another friend do front end with React. So we were able to combine back end, ML, and front end to make a really good project. And this was important because it's better to have all these specialities combined together to make something and that scale it, rather than have everyone do back end, right? Once you've read up on the rules of the competition and you understand the schedule, I recommend just meeting up with your team beforehand to kind of brainstorm ideas and discuss different things you can make. And the reason I think I won first place in these hackathons 2 times in a row is that my team and I, we always had a clear understanding of what our idea is going to achieve. Let me repeat that. You need to have a clear understanding of what your idea is going to achieve. You basically need to understand the impacts of it. It needs to be something that's impactful, that solves some kind of important issue, right? And a clear way to articulate this is with the second reason, is understanding who is impacted by your idea, in addition to what your idea is. We always made sure to identify multiple stakeholders. And what I mean by a stakeholder is that anyone who is affected by your idea, whether it be a user, especially if they pay to use your app, or anybody else who's affected by your app, right? For our first project that won first place, we talked about our app helped you donate clothes and food more efficiently. So we helped people donate those items more efficiently, but we also helped donation centers keep better track of their stock so that they don't waste anything and that they have better management. We also, the third person we helped were people who actually needed those donations to make sure they get donations more efficiently. So we helped people donate things more efficiently. We helped the centers manage their stock more efficiently, and we also helped people who need donations get it quickly. For our second idea, our team made an app that helped you recycle better. It did so through you showing the app and doing object detection to classify what piece of trash you have to make sure you're throwing away properly, but also helping recycling plants not have to filter out and spend money, sorting out different pieces of trash that people threw away improperly. Like if you threw away a water bottle in a trash can, that is going to add costs to a local recycling plant. We're also going to help corporate companies be more environmentally friendly through giving product and promo codes on our app as well, to partner with them to make sure that people are being more environmentally sustainable in terms of the products they buy, but also helping these companies maintain their better corporate image. And so the third reason our team won is that we had multiple features, especially machine learning focused and just highly technical features. Again, most teams who competed against us only had like one feature, and they made that their entire personality. And to the judges, it's generally more impressive to hear you having multiple features that feed into each other. So for example, for our first project, we had a news feed in addition to a map that helping you, pick donation centers and giving you scores. We had a news feed that helped you just, learn more about donations, and especially donations around your area, because homelessness and the issues like that were very rampant among our city. So we kind of helped with that. And then we also had a part that helped donation centers keep track of their inventory, so they could type in, the stock they have, send the data to us, and then we kind of give our percentages of how much, stock these centers have left, so that people can know to donate different things based on percentages. So if a donation center needs more food or more clothes than another center, even though it's farther away, you're going to go to that one because your donation is going to have an impact. So we quantified impact that way. For our second project, we had, again, the object detection. We showed you a piece of trash, detects that trash, tells you whether to throw it away or recycle it. We also had, again, a kind of a similar news feed feature where we showed, different recycling news, things like that, to help you become more aware of it, as well as the promo codes and product recommendations. And you see how all these features, they're not super complicated, but they all feed into each other. And this is why I think you're kind of building an app that keeps your users and is also scalable, but also keeps your users on the app for as long as you can. And your judges will clearly understand this. But the issue with this third reason is that people tend to ignore the first two. They tend to ignore the impact of their app as well as the stakeholders. And they tend to focus only on the third reason, which is the technical features, right? The reason is because as computer science majors and engineers, we build tools, so we like to focus on the tools. But this is a problem because hackathons are not about focusing on the tools. They're focusing on the problems you solve with those tools, right? Most teams are going to present their projects and just talk about, we use React, Node, Python ML, we use Django, Flask, React, we use microservices, we use SageMaker. I don't care what sages you're making with AWS SageMaker if it's not useful, right? And your judges, again, they're probably not going to be technically savvy people. You could have some, judges that have been developers or who are currently developers. But if they're looking through 50 to 100 projects, do you really think they're going to care specifically about what tools you use? The tools are important, but you have to focus more on the stakeholders and the impact of your project. And 2, you have to focus on understanding the impact of your project and the stakeholders. But this is why everyone else is going to lose, because they don't focus on that, right? And this is why you're going to win, because you understand that you need to focus on the stakeholders and the impact of your project and the idea. And you're going to need to be able to write about that clearly and speak it clearly. And your problem also needs to be solvable with tech. I know some teams that use ChatGPT to kind of help your mental health, or they use computer vision to help mental health. The issue with mental health is it's very tricky because tech doesn't have a super clear solution. If anything, you want to help your mental health, you should get off of technology and social media. But yeah, you need to make sure that you have some clear solution that at least helps a part of your idea. You don't need to solve or build anything super groundbreaking in 24 hours. You're probably not, and you don't need to. And this is what everyone gets wrong. They kind of try to use the most cutting edge tools without having a use case for them. And to come up with an idea, you should probably start listing out some problems or issues you and your team have faced, especially personal issues. You could also look for the top 5 issues within your city, like what we did for our first project, and we came up with the issue of homelessness. And so how do we help homelessness with technology? Well, homeless people need food and clothes donations, so we helped facilitate the donation process more efficiently. We also looked at the environmental side for our second competition. We helped the environment at the end of the day, but we didn't just say we helped the environment. We helped people recycle better. We helped donation centers, and we helped recycling centers, and we also helped companies spread the word about the environment. So we're very, very specific and clear about who we're helping there. Now that you've built your team, you've came up with your idea, you need to actually go to the hackathon, build your idea, and then you need to be able to present it really well. Presentation is key with hackathons. Think about it. You have 24 hours to build a product. You're basically building a startup's minimum viable product. And so think of your judges as investors. And if you were to convince them to give hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of funding in your idea, how would you do so? And the good news is that you're competing against other computer science and engineering students, many of which don't have great social skills or any presentation ability or public speaking influence. If you even have a modicum of competence in being able to clearly articulate your ideas and to speak to others and presentations, if you were typically good at presentations before, then you're going to absolutely demolish everyone else in your competition in your pitch. And even if you're not great at public speaking, you can always bring on a business major or someone who's better at public speaking than you. I know we make fun of business students all the time, but you could take some lessons from them in terms of their influence and public speaking ability. And the public speaking part is something that most computer science students aren't focused on. You're focused on optimizing solutions and code, but you need to spend more time selling your idea, right? This is the reason why Steve Jobs is more successful than Steve Wozniak. Because Steve Jobs was able to bring people together who were smarter than him, and he was also able to persuade people, articulate his ideas, and be able to present and understand present to the customer and understand the customer way better than anyone else. And this is how he made the most successful product in human history, the iPhone. And the reason why Steve Jobs is a household name and not Wozniak is because Steve Jobs was able to present so well. He's the classic example of presentations in every public speaking class I've ever taken in school. By contrast, when I saw other teams present at these competitions, I heard some of their pitches and they weren't that great. They're not as great as you think they were. Their delivery I often found was very robotic. Their, presentations and persuasion ability was so like AI generated, and ultimately them using a lot of filler words like, so, well, that hurt them in their ability to influence the judges in picking their idea to win. A lot of my competitors could probably solve LeetCode questions faster than I could, but if none of them can convince anyone to believe in their ideas, what is the point of all of that? And this is why I think you should allocate at least like an hour or two to practicing your pitch, refining your pitch, and practicing especially with your teammates, because at these competitions, you generally have a couple minutes to present your idea that you worked the past 24 hours on, and it's not an easy thing to do. So what I would say for our last pitch is that our app helps people recycle trash more efficiently. It helps recycling plants and centers not have to sort through and spend like $400 million a year in sorting different pieces of trash and recyclables that people improperly threw away. And our app also helps corporate companies spread environmental sustainability by them giving us product codes to use and them improving their image. And we do so through an app that allows the user to scan a piece of trash and it'll tell them whether it's recyclable or not. And then from that data, we give the user a news feed of, different recycling and trash news to keep them informed and keep them, have environmental sustainability on their mind. And also a product recommendation page to help them recommend them more sustainable products in order to, in order for them to throw away less items and also buy more environmentally sustainable items. That way they can, do their part. And on scale, this will help the environment. And you see how I opened up with the impact. I opened up with the impact and the stakeholders. I talked about the technical side in the demo of the idea. Then I ended also with mentioning the 3 stakeholders that were involved and also the impact of their idea. This sandwich method, I would call it whatever, that's kind of how I recommend you template out your presentation. The idea with your presentation is that you need to influence your judges so much that they can't say no to picking your idea for first, right? Again, opening up with clear motivations, opening up with, in our first presentation for our first project, we opened up with the statistic, hey, we asked our friends who wanted to donate clothes, how easy was it to do it? And it was surprisingly difficult for them to choose a center. So we helped them choose a center so that they could donate, clothes and food they don't need more efficiently, so that way people who need it can, get those food and clothes items quicker, and we can help donation centers manage their stock and inventory better. And so again, you want to open up with your motivation, your understanding of what your idea is going to achieve, multiple stakeholders involved, demo the technical side of your project. Notice how the technical side is a small part of it. And then you want to close with how your idea impacts those multiple stakeholders again. And this exactly mirrors the idea stage of, what I talked about earlier about how we won these competitions. We had a clear understanding of what our idea is going to achieve. We had multiple stakeholders involved. We also had multiple technical features. We talked about each of those 3, then we switched and then talked about them in reverse, and that's kind of how we presented the idea. And that's why we won. And a few small pieces of advice I'd like to give. Make eye contact when you're presenting and make sure to look at every single judge. Just be make sure you're open, you're standing up tall. You're going to see people are going to be leaning hunched over, their hands in their pockets. They're going to look unconfident. They're going to look like they've never asked out a girl in their entire lives. And if they're a computer science major, that's probably true. You want to make sure you involve everyone in your audience, especially if they're going to be voting for you and they're going to be the ones deciding whether you win this competition. Also, don't make a slideshow. It's just, you're probably not going to have enough time to use it. Unless the competition needs you to, don't make a slideshow. You don't need a pitch deck. Don't make a login screen as well. I see a lot of demos, people type in username and password. If you have a login feature, that's fine if you just show a picture of it or you just show basic features, but don't spend your time on managing accounts. You have 24 freaking hours. You don't have a lot of time to, manage these simple things that could be solved with I don't know, AWS or an online cloud thing. And so with all this in mind, you need to remember that the way to win first place at a hackathon is you need a clear understanding of what your idea is going to achieve. You need multiple stakeholders involved, and I clearly identify and articulate those stakeholders, who they are and why they're impacted positively, and have multiple technical features that are cool. That is how you win one of these hackathon competitions. So with all these in mind, there's a question of, do I need to stay up all night to win these things? The answer is no. No one's forcing you to stay up all night. The competitions will never require you to do so, but you have to understand that your competitors, especially if this is a big hackathon, might be working while you're sleeping. So good luck sleeping. But I mean, me personally, I made the decision to not sleep because I wanted to win. I was willing to work for 30 hours straight on my idea because we were so passionate about it. It didn't even feel like work that much. I just felt so refreshing to have just this block of time where I wasn't focused on work or school or anything like that. I could just focus on one idea. And I think that's probably my favorite part about these hackathons. You're kind of building a startup in a way, just a short one. That's how I like to think of it. People say you shouldn't think of it like that, but I think it's a great way to think about it. With the amount of work I put in, I knew nobody else was putting in the same effort I was. And with all that hard work and sacrifice, that is how I won first place twice at 2 hackathons. And this is how you can win first place at a hackathon as well.